They had backdrops, and in some cases the reviews talk about brilliant lighting. Usually what you would have is you'd have a play, and then you'd have some comic songs, and then you'd have another play. These would start at 7:30, or the doors would open at 7:30, 8 p.m. probably was curtain, and when you consider you've got 2 full-length plays plus comic songs, this must have gone well into the evening. So I don't know how long it went, but often dinner parties would go until 1, 2, 3 in the morning. So it wouldn't be out of the question that these things would have lasted until midnight, 1 a.m.
And would they have a
That
week
kind of
long run, or how long would these things run for?
One night. Yep. In very rare circumstances, as with the Miller and his men, they would remount the same play because it was sufficiently popular. But you'd sort of imagine in a town that small, with 200 seats, you weren't going to fill up those 200 seats, at 25 cents a shot too many times. In fact, sometimes they just didn't get very good houses even at that.
You mentioned St. Thomas as one of the locations for the garrison, and I've actually never heard about the garrison in St. Thomas. Is that because it was smaller, they just didn't do this, or it's just been overlooked because the railroad was so much more important in their history?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
That's-
I was very surprised actually,
Yeah.
and I know a little bit about this history, but I've never seen St. Thomas as a location that close to London.
Yeah.
Interesting. But you're,
Yeah.
There is a museum with military artifacts.
well, that's in the railroad. I just don't know the dates on that. I never going back that far.
Well, I gather we have to get the projector back in about 5 minutes.
Oh, no,
So-
we have more time
Are
than
we-
that.
oh, okay.
Yes, no, we have till 3:30 for that. But I just want to make sure there aren't any more questions before I interrupt. Alice, you have one? Well, I'm going to add one thing. There was a question about what did the soldiers do, and I know 2 things that they did when the officers were busy. One was there were a lot of tree stumps in London. And if you look at that, remember the picture that she showed? There were a lot of tree stumps. One of their jobs was to be removing the tree stumps. One thing to cut a tree down, try taking out all the roots. It was a big job. The other thing they did, and these were punishments by the way, was to dig a lake, Horn Lake, just off Waterloo Street at Kenneth. Do you know where, Miriam, what's the street just one north of Highland? Can't think of it anyway. Pall Mall, yes, Pall Mall and Kenneth Street. There's a little depression in the land there.
And Spickbilly Park.
Yeah.
That's right, it's
There was a
Piccadilly
lake
Park.
there, yeah.
That was called Horn Lake. So that was one of the things. I don't know how they did it, one shovel at a time, I guess, that long ago. Yes.
This was Colonel Weatherall's good conduct program, and it made him very popular with the local citizens.
It seems to me that lake was used to drive the mill that was located at Richmond and Hale Street.
That might be.
Because I remember as a youngster going through what remained of the underground sewage access. I was able to get in at the end down towards the river where a little creek flowed out at that point. And I went up through and bless me, I came out in the park, on the other side of the
Oh, really? That's a surprise.
So Mill Street was named because there was a mill there.
Yeah,
I know they used to skate on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know they used to skate on it in the winter. And if you're ever, hanging about Piccadilly Park of an afternoon, as one does, take a look in the corner, because they're one of the few remaining bits of evidence from the officers is a little marker about this high, a little marker stone that says on it B.O. Didn't stand for body odor, it standed for British Ordnance.
Really?
And-
I'm going to go and find that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
I'm going to go and look for that. Which corner?
So on the corner of...
Like north, south?
There's that little street there that's just north of Pall Mall.
Kenneth is.
That's
So
Kenneth Street.
Kenneth.
That's
So
Kenneth,
Kenneth Street and Waterloo.
Okay.
Yeah, just in that little corner there. It's absolutely fascinating.
And Mark, didn't they redo those when they redid the entrances to Victoria Park? That there was on the pathway, it's new, they've redone them, but there are some there that have the arrows that say BO as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, so the original one there was lost, but they thought they would put one in where they thought the same location was. So if you think about it, that southwest side of Victoria Park, that's where sort of the southernmost boundary was. And then Kenneth Street in the northernmost and easternmost boundary.
Would be about the
That's-
northernmost.
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty big area, that military reserve, much bigger than Victoria Park is today. So that would have encompassed Lake Horn. And where City Hall is today.
And my house.
And your house, all of that.